Professional athlete, like maturity, it plays a big role. You got to mature quick. You got to learn that it's not all rainbows and unicorns. You do have bad days. And I think that kind of translates into cooking too. Not every day you're going to have a perfect service. And you never do, honestly. Like you might have one throughout your career that you might remember for the rest of your life. But every day a curveball gets thrown at you. Same thing with golf. Not every shot is the same. Every shot is different. Every putt is different. Same thing with cooking. It's like every day you could prepare as perfectly as you can, but when it comes to service, that all goes out the window. Curveballs are getting thrown at you left and right. Trying to mature early. That was like a big thing that carried over into cooking from golf. My dad got into golf same time I did, so I was 7 in Korea. Dad was a typical businessman, 7 to 7 basically every day. So the only time he would be able to go play golf is in the morning, like crack of dawn. So I was in elementary school at that point, and he would wake me up at like 3 in the morning to go hit balls with them, and a lot of crying, a lot of tantrums, a lot of, oh my God, I hate my life, even though like I was young. So that's how it got kind of started. And then when I moved to the States in 5th grade, it was a little different because, I got to play golf with kids my age. They've kind of finally settled in Seattle area. I won state when I was younger. I guess that's like a peak thing, yeah. And then that kind of led me into playing in junior tournaments. And then I played well enough that I got noticed by a couple colleges. My parents thought it would be best for me to go to Duke just because of the education and golf. And obviously I didn't take advantage of that. Drinking and partying a little too much. So decided to drop out, play a little professional golf. Played for 8 years. Played a lot of mini tour stuff. And then I was lucky enough to get on the Latin American PGA Tour towards the end of my career. I was traveling a lot, wasn't playing very well. So I was just like emotionally and physically just drained, so decided to take a little hiatus. Golf is it's a hard sport. To get to that peak level, to the PGA Tour level, it's so hard. And it's not like multiple strokes, it's just like a half a stroke or a quarter stroke here that you have to shave to get to that next level. And it's just like just minute details that you have to work on. I was like always on the cusp of just kind of breaking through, but not really breaking through. And I think that kind of got to me towards the end. I was like, oh man, I've had it. I don't know how much more of this I can take. During that time, I did a little bartending, serving, and I was lucky enough to have a chef there that kind of interested me in food. He would always like show me new ingredients or new techniques that he was working on. And that kind of snowballed into me going to culinary school. And 11 years later, I'm here talking to you. I think just like growing up in the Korean culture, like food is always a big part of it. Any big holidays, it would just be our families getting together. All my aunties and my uncles get together and cook like a feast for 1,000 people, even though we only have like 15, so we have leftovers for days. College, I did a little cooking for my friends, but it wasn't anything fancy. It's always been a part of my life. I never would have thought that it would be this big, but it's always been there. I didn't know this type of cuisine existed, or I didn't even know they had a term for it. It's called K-house cuisine. And I think that just like kind of sums up what I do. I love taking your everyday dishes or ingredients and just putting my own unique twist on them. And I'm trying not to confine myself to a certain cuisine. Like I don't want to be like, oh, Chef Soo's known for Italian. No, I think at this day and age, there's so much information at our fingertips that you gotta just constantly be updated. You gotta constantly be, on top of your knowledge game. I love doing that. I love showcasing that in my food, and I love people looking at my food, or when I explain the ingredients or the techniques to them, they're like, what the hell is this? And then they taste it, they're like, oh, I get it. I see what he's trying to do here. In layman's term, it's kind of like fusion. I think that's like the best way to explain it. Kind of like taking ingredients and techniques that don't belong together, that are in separate cuisines, and then just mashing them together and making it work. As a chef, the higher you move up in the ladder, the less cooking it becomes like a part of your life, because we have to wear so many different hats. It's nice to kind of just get away from all that and be in a room with super talented chefs and just focus on cooking. And it was nice to kind of get back into it, and it kind of reignited my fire for being in the kitchen and getting down and dirty with the cooks. Adelina is a progressive Italian restaurant. We have our staples, of course. We have our meatballs, our veal parm. They're very straightforward. We try not to mess with it too much, just so people can enjoy like the classic taste of Italy. But majority of our menu, we try to take your everyday dishes that you see at Italian restaurants and just kind of put our own twist on it. Whether it's a different ingredient or whether it's a different technique, We try to incorporate it into our menu, and I love our pastas just because it's a blank slate and you could kind of do whatever you want to with it. And we have a lot of fun with our pastas. I love it when people kind of raise their eyebrow. They're like, "Ooh, I don't know, what is this?" And then they taste it. They're like, "Oh, I know what this is, but there's something unique in here," and I love it. And that's what Adelina is. That's what we're about. We try to have fun here and make sure that people come in and leave full. I try to have like little putting mats and stuff at home, but my wife is not a fan of that. You know, just like it just takes over the whole space and it's like everywhere, and I forget to roll it up. I try to practice a little bit at home, but yeah, once a week getting out during the summer months, that's a great week. My parents, they instilled a lot of my work ethic in me. Just growing up, they constantly told me that, you know, hard work beats talent any day of the week. And I truly believe that. So I think that I kind of took that mentality into cooking also. When I was playing golf, I would always, you know, my friends would go out and play or whatever, and I would always be out practicing, whether it's putting or chipping or, you know, hitting balls, whatever it is. I just love being held responsible for everything that I do, and it's an individual sport. There's no one to blame but you. You could blame a little bit on Mother Nature for weather or the course conditions or whatever, but honestly, at the end of the day, 99% of it is you, and I love that. Same thing with cooking. Outside of work, I would always, you know, brush up on techniques or new ingredients or new dishes that the chefs are putting out, and try to educate myself and try to better myself. So I think that kind of carried over in the cooking, and it's helped me tremendously. Nothing's handed to you here. There are no days off. You gotta study. You gotta see what your competitors or like your colleagues are doing. Try to see if you can do better, or, you know, try to mimic them or whatever it is. You gotta constantly be working, and, you know, you can't be lackadaisy here. It's definitely competitive in this industry, and I love it. I honestly love the pressure. I lucked out in this profession, honestly.